Do you think UFOs, the paranormal, weird history, cryptozoology, and outsider art are pretty darn cool? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to High Strangeness with your host, Steve Berg.
Well, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I hit live stream. Oh no, I didn't. Oops, I'm gonna start. I'm just gonna roll into it. Mistakes are part of the show. Everyone, welcome to another episode of High Strangeness. Today, returning, I have my buddy Jeff Finup as a guest hosting with me, and then I have a new friend, guest Frank Anderson. Fellas, how are you doing today?
Great. Fantastic. So happy to be on your show.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Frank. Jeff, how are you doing,
Excited to join two legends right here.
Well, that's a high compliment. Hopefully Frank and I can live up to it. Guys, so, you're both Wisconsin fellas and have a love for weird Wisconsin and Wisconsin folklore and tales of the strange and unusual. But I'm curious, how did you two become friends?
So I discovered Frank through his work at Wisconsinology, wisconsinology.com or Wisconsinology on Facebook is a great place to start and jump into some of the weirder aspects and more historical stuff. So that's really where I found him. I found his Monster, Myths, and Legends poster. I have a copy right here on my wall. And
available on Etsy.
Available on Etsy. We will be plugging that. There will be a link to that, Frank. I promise.
Well, wonderful.
So just kind of combing over that, starting up an email conversation, via Messenger, and just passing stories back, learning more about Frank, and kind of peeling back the layers of what is Frank Anderson. He seems like he's done so much in his short time on this earth.
Yeah. That is abundantly clear. Frank, so what'd you think about when this an intrepid youngster hit you up for some compliments on your website and probably was inundating you with questions?
Oh, I loved it, and he's really his Badgerland Legends is fantastic.
I agree.
It's great, and it gets better all the time and becomes deeper all the time. And sometimes we have to leave that world of high strangeness and, weird Nebraska, weird Wisconsin, weird. I mean, it's an industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody and their goddamn uncle has a site up about scary this, scary that.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? You come through only so many stories, and then it ends.
Yeah.
Jeff kept it going beyond that. I mean, he did all the standards we have. And we have standards.
Mm-hmm.
And we have ongoing ones that are huge, like This Is the Year of Ed Gein.
Oh.
Ryan Murphy's show, American Haunted. What is it called?
Monsters.
American Horror Story.
Oh, American Horror
Story. American
Yep.
Horror Story. Yeah.
Well, Ed Gein, our famous Ed Gein, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is the star of that. And also a major documentaries coming out on Ed Gein by someone who interviewed him and knew him.
Is that true? So Ed Gein is going to be the focus of the new American Horror Story?
Not American Horror Stories. It's actually Monsters. It's a separate Netflix.
I think I auditioned for that. I just auditioned for a Ryan Murphy show like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I didn't. I was definitely not right for the part, but I was hoping I was going to get it.
Do you want to inhabit literally your mother's body? Is that
the money wasn't good enough, so no. Yeah, I mean, everyone has a price, though, Frank. That's incredible. So, Frank, before we get into some of the weird stuff, I want to just kind of highlight some of your music and film accomplishments. I'm Butch Vig is, especially for me, I'm a '90s kid. Growing up, Butch Vig had a hand in so many records and so many bands and albums that I still love to this day. And you've worked with him quite a bit.
I've known him a long time, and I played on a lot of records.
Wow.
Smart Studios, yes. Yeah.
That's up in Madison, Wisconsin, right?
Butch and I are a couple of small-town Norwegian lunkheads, and I'm not kidding. Lunkheads. And we both, he's from Viroqua, Wisconsin,
Right.
from Deerfield, Wisconsin. They grow tobacco, we grow tobacco. We have the exact same thing going on.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
A genius producer guy. Yeah.
And still producing regularly.
So I would recommend the Smart Studio Story documentary. You can see it on Amazon Prime. It actually features our friend Frank Anderson prominently. And you know what? I didn't even know of Frank's connection to Butch Vig when I first started talking to him until I popped in that documentary, and it pops Frank, and I'm like, oh, Frank Anderson. Okay. All right. And then I found about, all about his musical background, session musician for Butch Vig, and Know It All Boyfriends is the band that he's.
That's our band.
Amazing.
Butch Vig, Freedy Johnston. A lot of people are in our band.
That's
who's the guy? What's that one? Stacy's boyfriend. What's that band?
Stacy's.
That sounds like the name of a band.
Stacy's mom. Big hit, right? Who's that?
Pennsylvania.
Chris Collins.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm not. He's in our band. It's a whole bunch of us.
It's like the world's biggest band. It's just an all-star band, and the Know It All Boyfriends. That's actually kind of a play on words, because it's more of a cover band that we know it all. We know all the songs, and they play them. And one thing,
the funny part, every guy in the band has had a number one hit. I mean, I'm talking about the front man. I'm not a front man. Number one hit, but they won't sing it and they won't do it.
Yeah. Like, we've done that a couple thousand times. Yeah. We're over it. So do you play like a multitude of instruments, or is there like
No, but I mainly play the pedal steel guitar. I have since I was 13, 14, yeah.
How do you start playing that? That seems like one of the most intimidating instruments to.
Well, there's definitely a hump you approach that you have to get over.
Yeah,
like a lot of instruments,
right?
Language learning, so many things. You reach but that hill was kind of high.
Yeah, that's not a forgiving instrument.
I got over it young, and well, it ruined my life. I didn't graduate high school because of that.
Who needs it?
I left school because I was making so much money playing in nightclubs and bars and things like that. And then I backed up country stars and things. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, when I was about 19, I played 250 nights. That was
what?
That's sick.
That's sick in an awesome way.
Yeah. No, awful. No. I mean, it really influenced my life playing that much that year, because I didn't want to ever do it again like that.
Yeah.
And being on the road is horrible.
It is
horrid. It's not human. It's frightening. It's not right.
It is. It's like too much liminality. It's like you're eating Domino's on a lonely Super 8 every night. And I've done like short stints of touring for comedy, or like going off and shooting things, and it's fun for a couple days, and then you're like, I'm miserable and I'm lonely.
When you're very young, as I was, that first week, yeah. For the rest of my life, right?
Yep.
2 weeks later, get me out of here.
Yes.
Get me out. Somebody shoot me or something. Get me out of here.
You crave structure in a way that is like hard to put into words.
Yeah.
Give me somewhere to be at 8 o'clock and somewhere to leave at 5, please.
Yeah, I no longer want to crawl out of bed at 1 p.m. And drive 6 hours to North Dakota to play. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I have a couple friends who are touring musicians still, and they're older than me, and I'm like, how are you doing it? And they're like, I don't know, man, but no one buys albums anymore, so this is the reality.
That's all there is, by the way, now. That's all. But there never was money in it, and even when I played with, acts who had hit songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was still, back then when I did it a lot, it was, $300 a week plus $30 a day. And sure, you think that's wonderful when you're real young, but that never changed. So it's just,
right.
And then you're getting older.
Right. When you have you're like one health crisis away from being bankrupt.
Like everyone today.
Exactly right. That is the reality for everyone now. Everyone's a touring musician these days. Oh, that's amazing. And I want to kind of talk about Charles Nelson Riley, right? I just in case some of my younger listeners may not know who he is, do you mind explaining who he is? You made a documentary about him, and I am fascinated because I have a weird connection to Charles Nelson Riley.
Tell me about it.
Well, my acting teacher, who was kind of like I had many acting teachers or whatever, but like the one, Robert DeVonzo in Los Angeles, he really was the one who like got me working, made me a lot better, and kind of like honed a wild, weird improv actor into someone who's serviceable as a what do you call it? A character actor. But Robert DeVonzo was one of Charles Nelson Riley's disciples in New York City, and he was straight up teaching us Charles Nelson Riley style acting, and he would constantly drop Charles Nelson Riley quotes, and he loved this man so dearly. So I came to love him too, because it was like the best tutelage I ever got as a burgeoning artist. So you obviously have an affection for him as well, because or you disdain him so much you want to make a documentary about him. But please tell me how you came to make a documentary about Charles Nelson Riley, which I am so excited to watch, by the way.
Well, I made that documentary with Barry Polterman, who's one of my longest friends and who we began making films with here in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, in about 1990. Right, I met Barry then. They were in a podunk. They were in a low-level production company that was about to get big and make real money. And I was a full-time hand-drawn animator. I worked for a lot of studios. I think I'm one of the first people to work from home and send their work to like Los Angeles and New York.
Wow.
And, and communicate via fax.
Yes.
Which I thought was fax. It'll change my life. I can live anywhere I want. I don't have to be in San Francisco anymore, where I was.
Right.
And which was a huge animation hub, by the way. Nightmare Before Christmas, stop motion, Colossal Pictures, did all the MTV stuff, right? I was there, and I was tangential to all that, right? And I got their overflow, actually, Colossal Pictures.
Amazing.
They did so much animation work, they had to turn work down. They literally had millions of dollars in production going simultaneously, and they were developing some things like Eon Flux.
I loved Eon Flux.
Yeah, okay. I believe Peter Chung, I don't remember his name,
right.
But I met all these people, and at once upon a time long ago, but I was an independent animator. I'm always on the outside. I'm not a joiner. I took some overflow from that, and I was definitely not on the inside, but the man who sold them and who sold Pixar, the salesman, the guy who went out there and got all this work for them, and then later built Pixar, made them what they are today.
Whoa!
He later became my agent later when I worked for Backyard, Tricky Pictures in Chicago, Illinois. We did Turner Classic Movies, interstitials.
I love TCM. Oh my God.
Oh, you do? I did.
Oh yeah.
You don't have instant film. I did Syncopation Station, which was their musical intro for 16 years.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So, which is all stop motion.
Amazing.
With shadow projection animation, which was my shtick. But anyway, all that animation world, I was deep in it. I was a director, animation director, stop motion director. But at the same time, I was also playing, and we're talking about Charles Nelson Riley, weren't we?
Yeah, but we're getting there. No. It's always a windy road to get to Charles Nelson Riley.
God, it's winding. But I had two good friends, and we stuck together. We made a horror film that sold successfully at Sundance in 1994. I wrote it and produced it. They directed and got it going and made it happen. It was called Aswan, and it was 1994, Sundance, the year of independent cinema.
Yes.
And that got distributed everywhere. And actually a company called Mondo Macabro is releasing its anniversary edition. And you can see a hilarious interview with me where I play a character, speaking of acting. But, I play the pissed off author who hates the director of, who's my friend, Barry Polterman, of Oswald, right? But that started it all. And that led to us, our company. We brought in a young filmmaker named Chris Smith, who made American Movie. Have you heard of American Movie?
You'd be hard pressed to find a bigger fan of American Movie than myself.
Okay, well, we were all over that thing. And Chris and Sarah Price made it. But they, Barry Polterman, who I just mentioned, edited it.
Wow.
And it was in our building. And all the work, all the people. Mark Borchardt, I mean, we all know each other.
I love Mark Borchardt.
Mike's just like he is in the movie.
We lost Mike not too long ago.
Yeah, wasn't that sad?
It was sad. He seemed like such a sweet man.
Damn it, it made me sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, my favorite lines from the movie is when Mark and Mike are wrapping it up last day, and Mike looks off into space and wonders what ACD is doing at that very moment. And he goes, "They're probably taking the stage," with a smile on his face. And Mark has a camera and, "All right, dude, but we got to finish this movie right now."
It's so good. It's probably the funniest documentary I've ever seen in my entire life. I love it.
So our bunch took that through Barry's connections, took that to Sundance, returned to Sundance. And, you know, that got really big. Chris became a huge commercial and documentary director. And Sarah does her thing, and a director. We're getting there. By the year 2000, I'm going to skip forward because there's so much stuff. 2007, Barry wanted to do, we've always talked about doing a Charles Nelson Riley thing. And he said, look, Charles has his own play. It kind of stiffed because it premiered the week of 9/11 in New York City.
Ouch, yeah.
Yeah, ouch. Let's film part of it, use bits, make up stuff, and make a movie. I said, yeah, let's do it. So we were both directors, but Barry was more the, hands-on Charles director, because Charles really gets nervous, and he really had trouble getting back on the stage, and he was ill.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so nice, and we worked with him closely. I did, in that movie, I was there, I was there for we filmed it in LA in the Valley at a theater, and we stitched it together. Charles was very nervous one night, and his performance was all over the place. Mm-hmm. There's no one, music terms. Where's the one?
Yes.
There wasn't. So Barry's excellent editor. He patched all that. I came back to Wisconsin, and I filmed all these scenes of Charles' life that people believe are real. Like Charles being a 11-year-old kid and starring in this play about Columbus. I staged that play here in my home in Appleton with kids at a gym. My daughter and wife, harangued the whole thing together. I shot it with a Bolex, and that's a significant, early part of the movie. And I can't tell you, when we did the festival circuit with that film, everybody came up and, how'd you get that footage of Charles' first acting performance? But I did things like that, recreations of moments of his life.
That's wonderful.
A lot of that, and music as well. And working with Charles is just wonderful. Charles Nelson Riley, for your younger listeners, is hard to describe and hard to introduce.
He's hard to categorize.
Yeah.
And they have no anchor. They have no idea. All I can say is he was a huge Broadway star with a very interesting life, a multifaceted man who was one of the best acting teachers ever.
Yes.
So gentle and kind. But he does a very funny bit in the movie where he's trying to, what's the film where the guy mutilates the horse? I mean, the play. Oh, no, hold it. Where the nun gets pregnant, Agnes of God or something like that. It's a famous play.
Okay, yeah. That sounds, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't recall.
No, it's
But he does this bit like every woman who ever had an audition would do that scene where the nun who's pregnant breaks down, but they're talking about her baby, it's a baby, like that. And Charles he goes, they all do it, every woman. And he does this imitation of that in his acting class, the baby, and he uses it to illustrate what acting is. And really, it's funny for a teacher to say this, but he said, ultimately, it's a gift. You can't
yeah.
teach it. It just is a gift.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think you can like teach charisma. It's like you have it kind of or you don't. I mean, there's some actors who are so technical, I think they can learn it, but like for the most part, the actors we all remember and love Brando was gifted. De Niro was gifted.
Oh my God.
Meryl Streep is
Right
gifted.
out of the damn box.
Absolutely.
Brando, you're Brando.
Yeah.
And Charles, sorry for the camera kick.
No, I like it. Good visuals.
I notice those things because I spend a lot of time on the stop motion tape.
Yeah.
A recent series I worked on is called The Last Movie Stars, which is produced by Martin Scorsese and Ethan Hawke directed.
Beautiful.
And it's about Paul Newman. And Paul Newman's endless search to master the method, right?
Right.
The method for you. For you younger listeners, the method is a way by which you become another character by inhabiting their habits and letting go of yourself and facing your worst fears at the same time, including confronting your demons.
Yeah.
Now, Paul has a camera face. He can say any damn thing he wants to a camera and we're going to love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's fighting that, handsome guy. You got there because you're handsome. You're not a real actor. He fought that his whole life, and he only. Oh, by the way, for your young listeners, Paul Newman was the biggest star in the world.
Yeah, pretty big actor.
Yeah.
You mean he's not just a salad dressing guy?
Yeah, I thought so. He acted a little bit too.
I forgot that part.
He makes a hell of a marinara sauce.
Oh, I love his ranch salad.
It's good.
Delicious.
It's good. The dressing is legit good. Yeah.
But you'll notice if you see that grocery item, his face is on there because he's as handsome as they got.
Absolutely.
But he mastered it in the end in a movie called The Verdict.
Mm-hmm.
He finally confronted his demons, and he became the character he was playing simply because he had the same problems as that character. So he's brought them all together. And I'm all over episode 2, by the way. And
wonderful
animation, recreation of 60s visual styles. I guess that's my new shtick, is recreating stuff that nobody wants to pay archival for. I'm good at it because I did it in the day. That's as a young man, a young kid, actually.
I can't think of another art form, Frank, that requires more patience than stop motion.
It does require enormous, and thank God I've done it so much that I move like a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally click, 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 click.
Oh my God.
Frame by frame filming.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah, I went to film school and we did we had to do a stop motion project, and I remember losing my mind and staying up all night for 3 nights in a row trying to make a Incredible Hulk figure move across the screen. I did not have the patience for it. I thought I was pulling my hair out. I'm like, this is definitely not for me. I don't have the skill.
Oh no, you have to be a certain. A lot of energy is expended concentrating.
Yes,
and I've done. Like on that Turner Classic movie intro I did, one of the shots in there took 14 hours, 16 hours.
Oh, Lord.
And I had to animate that scene lying down because I was beneath what I was moving. And orchestrating guys switching on lights on and off. And I had a lot of guys, and I wrote out their scripts of when to turn on a light. 6 frames, off, on, as under there, moving. And I stopped it for a while after that because of back problems. But
oh my God, I'm sure. Well, that is incredible. I mean, I'm so first off, I just want to say, is the Charles Nelson doc available? Like I can watch it, right?
20th anniversary coming up, and it'll be released. You can see it on YouTube.
I can see it on YouTube. Okay,
Very easy to see it on YouTube in parts. Like those people, they put them up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Right. Well, and this is also a good reason for me to reach out to my old acting teacher and say, "Did you?" I'm sure he's aware of the documentary. Like, but yeah.
Actors are our only audience.
Yeah.
I thought it would be people, Charles Nelson, right? No, it's actors.
Well, a lot of people know him from Hollywood Squares, and I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn, this guy's a true artist.
Yes, and that, by the way, is impossible to explain. The 70s are impossible to explain to young people.
Yeah, they were bizarre.
Hollywood Squares, well, they were in a square and they made pithy remarks when someone brought up a subject. How do you explain that?
Right. It's not easy.
We laughed back then. Nobody laughs at that anymore.
No, there's nothing funny about the world anymore. Comedy's dead. We're all just cringing.
Oh, the chaos.
Oh, the chaos. Like, I like some chaos, but like, no, not this brand. Frank, I want to get into some subjects that Jeff has, I was talking to Jeff and I was reading your website, Wisconsinology, which is fantastic, and I will put a link to that in the show notes, of course. But I want to ask you about some of the stories involved in there, if you don't mind talking about that.
Let's do it. We got to do the strangeness thing now.
Yeah, well, Charles Nelson Riley is strange too, so he fits right in.
That is nice.
He's germane to the conversation, as far as I'm concerned.
Speaking of strangeness, I just finished work on a motion picture, Gallagher.
Oh my God, the comedian Gallagher.
Yeah.
Breaking the watermelons.
It's the darkest thing you've ever seen. It's frightening.
Oh my God. When does that come out?
It's doing the festivals right now. I was at 2 days ago. I was at a recent showing.
I will. Can I ask you a question? Well, I don't. Maybe it's too big of a reveal. But like, I always heard a rumor that he, at a certain point, was sending his twin brother out to do the shows because.
No, his younger brother was Gallagher too. And in the early '90s, Gallagher he had so much work.
Yeah,
he had to split. He had to become two people. So his brother looked like him.
Right.
And then the younger brother decided he wasn't Gallagher 2 anymore and was advertising himself as Gallagher, the real deal.
Oh, my God.
And once again, in this movie is loaded with this family strife, anger, never talking to you again, lawsuits, just nuts. But what it really is, and what Life of Barry Polterman edited this one, and a young director from LA directed it. It is the Red Shoes. You know the story of the Red Shoes? The fable, the Red Shoes.
I do not.
Okay, a young girl loves to dance. That's all she wants to do, and she wishes she could just be a dancer. The devil appears to her.
Oh boy.
Says, "Put on these shoes, and you will become the greatest dancer ever." But there's a hitch. Once you put them on, you can never remove them, and you will dance forever. And it seems to be a theme with a lot of the work I do, because I really did say no to touring at a very young age, because I knew it was bullshit and it wasn't a life.
Yeah.
I know so many who did. Many are dead. Some made it. Butcher made it, but Butch Vig, but boy, did they tour. They're still touring.
Yeah.
They're playing in front of 50,000 people in Sao Paulo and all over the world, but they tour at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
It's us poor schmucks who tour at the mid.
Yeah.
Nowheresville, man.
Yeah.
And up here is those people you have people, they take care of things for you. Go here at 9:00, you will be there. At 9:30, turn left, turn right in the next corridor. You'll be there. Radio, that sort of thing.
Yes.
I mean, I lugged my own gear.
Yeah.
I was doing it. But that's the Red Shoes. Charles Nelson Riley put on the Red Shoes. And he talks about that, by the way, in the movie. And Gallagher put on the Red Shoes, and it hit him like a goddamn tornado, Yeah. He was playing every night. He divorce. can't be with the kids all the time, can't have a family life when you put on the red shoes.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's frightening. What I like about younger generations is that they hate Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they hate showbiz, and they hate people who are pampered.
Yeah.
That way.
Yes.
Sports stars.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
No, well, there's been that is interesting to bring because there has been kind of a sea change, and I don't know if it's like the last 5 years, maybe it even started earlier, where people are starting to become repulsed by people with a lot of material possessions.
Katy Perry took her goddamn spaceship up. I hope that thing blows up. That's what everybody said.
Right. Well, I think there's definitely this propulsion by the billionaire and elite class these days, and I actually see that as a positive thing.
It's the best thing ever.
Because art and commerce isn't everything. Art can just be art, So
and you can make art all by yourself and not get notes from people.
That's the best kind of art, right? That's why, I'm always talking about David Lynch because he is the only big name American filmmaker who literally after the movie Dune never took a note because he's like, I will never give up creative control ever again. And so, for better or for worse, not everyone loves his movies. I happen to love every frame he's ever made, but he was a true artist. He was doing his vision and his vision alone. He was a true auteur, and I feel like that's a trend. I think that is going to start really taking off again.
It's only one person can be David Lynch, of course, right?
Of course,
only one person can be. I taught animation for a while at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and the kids all wanted to be like somebody, and I kept telling, no, you can't.
Yeah.
There already is that. You have to make your own brand.
Yep.
And there's only room for a handful.
Very, very small.
There's no job entry that says you get to be you and you're famous and everybody will love you.
That's exactly right.
Once again, beware the Neil Gaiman story.
Yeah. It's very true. I went to film school.
1 second, please.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second. Hang on.
No. Jeff, how you hanging in there, buddy?
Awesome. Just enjoying being a fly on the wall here.
What'd you have for lunch?
I just had an egg omelet. It was delicious.
What were the contents of the omelet? Was there cheese in there?
Of course, Wisconsin, man.
Yeah.
Why are you asking that question? That's a given.
It was a test. I
just had a cheese and onion sandwich.
Ooh, that sounds great. Oh God, and I will say the cheese in Wisconsin lives up to the hype. You can't get cheddar here. It really is. It really is. It has a lot of the best ofs. It's the best fish fries.
Mm-hmm. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
This is the water capital of the United States, so come on.
Surrounded by Great Lakes.
That's true. More than Minnesota, from what I hear.
Absolutely. We got Superior and Michigan, and we have the Mississippi.
Yeah.
We got the Mississippi River. Everybody forgets that we have the Mississippi. We're defined by water.
But let's not forget the mighty Wisconsin, who cuts right through the center of the state.
Oh, mighty.
Yeah.
And
I have sad stories about the Wisconsin. Wisconsin River is famous for its current. You don't see it on top, but underneath, wow. Like that, right?
Yeah.
My father's cousin was taking a leak off a bridge of the Wisconsin River in 29. And a car drove by and knocked him off.
Oh, God.
It became the first aerial search in Wisconsin history where they used planes to find him. And it was big news back then. They found the body way the hell downriver 8 days later. And it's one of the many tragic stories I used to be told when all those old people were alive. They'd bring it up every time.
Oh, Lordy, that's so sad. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Rivers are not to be, they're to be respected and taken seriously. In Omaha, 3 girls just drowned in the Missouri River.
Oh, my God.
Last week. Yeah, it happens quite a bit here. Because, you were saying, the Wisconsin, it has that crazy undercurrent where if you go in, it's over,
Whams.
And I think it was one of those chain reactions where one girl fell in, they think, because there was witnesses who saw it, and then one girl tried to help, and then that girl fell in, then the third girl tried to help, and the third girl fell in.
Oh.
So they're all trying to help each other. It's so sad. Sorry to bring it down, folks. Look what I did.
Well, I'll I'd like to bring up a funny, stupid thing we have
Hmm.
where the minute it becomes winter and the lakes, we have so many lakes, freeze over, you have people in bars who decide at 1 p.m., 1 a.m. at bar time, they're going to drive their goddamn truck across a frozen lake
Oh God,
without any
no.
markers, right? And Jeff knows a lot of this. It's just common here. And I live near Lake Winnebago, one of the biggest inland lakes in the United States. Every year, somebody,
Oh Lord, that. Oh man, I mean, I've had some late nights at the bar, but I don't recall ever feeling the need to drive across a lake.
but it must be beautiful when they first enter the water because
I'm
they have
sure it's amazing. Yeah.
a $75,000 truck with lights and stereo and
Yeah.
all that. Whoa, I'm a submarine.
Bye bye. I made a huge
Oh,
error.
it's leaking.
Yeah, this is not great.
This is stupid. Why did I do that? Because I drink. In Wisconsin, everybody drinks.
Yeah, handle your booze better, folks. Come on, we're
By the way,
professional.
Jeff, Mark note, a lot of our fantastic tales. We're the drunkest state in the nation.
Yeah,
period.
it's a bit unfortunate. We outdrink every other state since 1848 is the
It's silly.
saying, and it's become absurd. And me and Frank, we're both pretty dry, so
Right.
it leaves us to observe our culture through a lens rather than the beer goggles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, beer is delicious, but boy, it can
However, I have this
cause problems.
pro tip. Wherever you are, if you're having a party, invite a Wisconsinite because they bring 2 12-packs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing. And they'll go like, you sure this is enough? You know?
One for me and one to share for the rest of the people. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
2 12-packs. Wow, that's passionate. That's passionate. Frank, I want to ask you a question. And that is the exorcism of Anna Eklund.
Yeah, I know a lot.
And the Exorcist chief, Mr.
Reisinger.
Thank you, Jeff.
He's buried right out here
In Appleton.
Yes, he operated out of Appleton.
Frank and I got to locate his grave last fall.
Yeah,
that's fun.
We got to share some stories and stumble around. What's the name of the cemetery in Appleton? St. Joseph?
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph's Cemetery. We found the exorcist in chief buried right there, and Frank regaled me with stories.
Most famous exorcist, yeah.
Well, I know very little about this most famous exorcist. Can you please indulge me, gentlemen?
Her name was not Anna Eklund. It was Anna Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And something like that. And she was from Wisconsin. And obviously she had a lot of mental health issues. And Father Reisinger was the chaplain, not chaplain, he was the traveling chaplain of St. Joseph's Parish here in Appleton, which meant he was on the road constantly. And doing services in places that need extra help, that sort of thing. He was also a lecturer. He'll talk about anything. And everyone who knew him, he was entertaining. But Anna was, and this is the sad part of the whole thing, he truly believed that, well, let me preface that with that she is the basis of The Exorcist.
Right.
Not the St. Louis case, like they always say. That is part of William Peter Blatty's novel, a big part. But the actual ceremony and the head spinning and all that crap and the body leaping into that's her. And that's from the accounts of Father Reisinger's exorcism in Erling, Iowa, in, I believe, 1927 to 28. And a lot of Catholic propaganda is tied into this. So you don't know what's true or what's exaggerated.
Right.
And I can't emphasize that enough because there was a strong inside church movement at the time that was very conservative and wanted their doctrine, what they believed, to be it, right? Like everybody who's a religious nut. Same thing. No, it's this, it's not that. No, devil's still here. You got you. And the Catholic Church fought him because they, believe it or not, they wanted to modernize in the worst way.
Right.
And they wanted to rid of all that ghost demons stuff, even though that was great PR. When The Exorcist came out, everybody, a lot of people became Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
out of fear. And anyway, that great marathon exorcism of Anna Schmidt, and then she became Anna Eklund in a popular Catholic booklet that was given out and sold an insane amount of copies. And all of a sudden, Father Riesinger's in Time magazine, which is as big as it got back then. And he's interviewed here in Appleton, et cetera, et cetera. But the Vatican said to him, he had done 20 exorcisms. He was doing it too fast. He was doing too much. And
Right.
I'd like to talk about a little thing. This will shed a light. In 1926, we had a case called the Amro Phantom, where a girl who had excellent ventriloquism skills and convinced everyone in her town that she was channeling ghosts and demons.
No way.
Yeah. And it was national news. And her parish priest, of course, said, I've seen it. It's real, right? It's real.
Yeah.
Well, another hometown character who's from Appleton, Harry Houdini. He's reading about it in the Chicago's, he's doing his act in Chicago, debunking all this mystical spiritualism stuff. And he's my hero for that, by the way. And he says, I can take care of this whole thing. I will pay the family $3,000 if it's true. And that's a lot of money back then. And by the way, I can debunk this in 1 minute.
Right.
And he did. He did. So she's good. She has ventriloquism, and it was true. Because as soon as the offer for that money came to the family, silence.
Yeah, they're like, oh.
Father Riesinger was involved in that. So they had Houdini come in. I mean, he didn't come in, but he debunked it. But Father Riesinger actually debunked it himself.
Oh, really?
Because his method of working was he had a little prayer, and he would say that prayer. And if the subject went apeshit or went off on some mental health crazy bend, he or she was possessed by the devil or a demon or one of the many hierarchy demons.
Right. A dark entity of some sort.
Yeah. A minor or major character from the great bureaucracy that hell is.
Right.
And right. And so he had debunked it. I mean, he said, no, she's not. She's faking, which is interesting because he was doing exorcisms like every Tuesday. He was going at it. So the Vatican said stop, but he didn't stop. He claimed he stopped, but he did not. He kept on exercising, and the person he exercised was Anna, because he believed that she was the single vessel on earth through which all demonic entities were entering this planet.
Whoa, that's super duper possessed then.
Super duper possessed, but isn't that God? It's weird.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And he seems like a sensible, good guy. He helps with projects. Wonderful man, right? But he's hung up that she's, so he's going to keep exercising her. Exercising her, not
like a personal trainer.
Now, that's weird and that's cruel. Is he helping her mental health? Because we now know there are two autoimmune diseases that perfectly mimic someone who's possessed. Identical. And there's so many problems here in the Catholic Church. His contemporaries thought exorcism was a way of helping mentally ill.
Right.
Even they didn't believe it.
Right. Oh, really? Is that true? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he did. And he thought the Antichrist would be born. By the way, by his measurements, the Antichrist is Donald Trump. He projected that birth year. Exactly, right. Bang! That's when the Antichrist is going to come. But whatever. That's what happened. My opinion is on always with science. And
Yeah.
I don't. Ask me a question. I don't know what else to say about it.
No, so I mean, like, yeah, you think that? I mean, it makes you wonder, and obviously, you probably don't know, but do you think Riesinger, I'm gonna mispronounce his name. Riesinger was genuine in his belief? Like, do you think he believed what he was doing?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. 100%. He was on board. He believed it.
I mean, because for a high up priest to ignore the Vatican's orders, like, it seems like, oh yeah, he was a true believer. Then he's like, well, the Vatican doesn't think I should do this, but I gotta go on because people need these exorcisms every Tuesday.
Well, what's odd is he was ordained in Milwaukee later in life.
Right.
Late for late 30s, I believe, mid-30s. And he'd come from Germany, where so many people come to Wisconsin, all the German states.
Right.
Actually, all of Eastern Europe is Eastern Wisconsin, and all of Scandinavia is Western Wisconsin.
Right.
And he is he's on this early. He started as soon as he could. He was exercising, and he was reprimanded for it numerous times.
Wow, he just couldn't wait.
That's why they had him traveling everywhere, so he wouldn't get into trouble.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. First off, you're so right, because the common when people think about The Exorcist and like the case it was based off, I had always heard it was the St. Louis case.
By the way, that another Wisconsin exorcist was in on that.
Mm-hmm.
There was more than one.
Father Halloran.
Oh, there's a lot. There's Father Halloran, and he's a bigger skeptic than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Father Halloran parachuted into combat in the Vietnam War.
Good Lord.
Yeah. To administer last rites to dying Americans and whoever else needed it. I'm sure there were some French Catholics on the Vietnam side. He said, I've never, okay, I'll paraphrase. I'm sorry, I don't have the quote. There's a lot of play acting going on, mutual play acting. And that's a big part in this game of, supernatural and metaphysical things happening, a big part. Houdini was big on that.
Yes.
So he said it takes two to make the belief cycle happen, and they play off each other. And we're back to acting. We're back to Charles Nelson.
It all comes back to the theater, man.
and people often say, oh, how could they know? How would they know all that? How did it? People are very complex.
Yeah.
And they're very good at making things up.
Yep.
Creating. I call that creating.
Yeah.
And making up stories, making up things. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
And the ones who do it the worst are the ones say, I only believe in the truth. Those people.
Yeah.
Who are full of shit in my life. They're the first ones you should suspect of being big time story makers.
Right. Bingo. Watch out for that person.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, Jeff, when I was talking to Jeff about this interview, Jeff's like, you might want to ask Frank about if he's ever seen a ghost.
Yeah.
So, Frank, buddy, have you ever seen a ghost?
Yeah, it is, but over the years I debunked it.
Okay, well, please.
Only in his mind.
Can you tell us about
Steve,
that?
Only in his mind.
Only in his mind. Okay. Jeff's got a different take on the situation.
I love it. Yes.
I love it. I love it because me and Frank come from opposite ends of the spectrum on this stuff, and it's like,
and the earth as well.
That's right. Yeah.
No, really. And I want to say to your younger listeners, I'm not a fuddy-duddy.
No.
I love supernatural. I love metaphysics. I love the story and the people making up stuff around it. I love that. I don't condemn it or anything like that.
Right.
I live for it. I'm what they used to call a monster kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm honest. Bona fide.
Yeah.
Now, here's my story, okay? Now, I'm not from Wisconsin. My ancestors are, my parents are. I'm from the Philippines. I was born and raised there. So half raised, and then half raised in Wisconsin in a small town. So when I was little, I was born on a little island called Basilan. My father managed a lumber company. So on Basilan, numerous stories. That's where I got Aswang for the movie. It's a Filipino vampire that feeds on the unborn.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And the Philippines is so full of creatures and strange medic. Look up Manananggal and it'll blow your mind. Manananggal. Blow your mind. In fact, you could go forever on episodes in the Philippines because their folklore is that rich.
Oh, I love it.
I'm a little boy. I was born after World War II. My brother was born when my father arrived there in 1948. And my father was a PT boat commander and had his PT boat base on the same island we were born on. So we're there, and there's a lot of stories and stuff, and we moved gradually north towards Manila. My brother would torture me with the ghost stories, and I'm a little kid of our island. And one was called The Three Headless Dutch Women.
Oh, boy.
So on my, if you ever have me in the future, have me tell you the story of the Monkey King, because that's really good.
Monkey King. Oh, my God.
We're going to do the Headless Dutch one. So World War II, Japanese invade, they take over the island. It's all lumber plantations, rubber plantations, and the Dutch have a influence there. So 3 Dutch women are taken and used for the pleasure of Japanese whatever. And something happens and they are ordered to be beheaded, right?
Oh.
I've researched this. It never really happened, but it's a story.
Yeah, sure.
So my brother told me the story, and the road that ran behind our compound was made out of crushed coral. And late at night in the moonlight, you can see those 3 helpless women. They have their arms around each other. They slowly walk down the road because they're blind, they're headless, they can't see. And they help each other, and they're a pitiful sight to behold in the moonlight. These 3 figures without heads walking along the road.
Whoa.
Scared the shit out of me, right?
Yeah.
We moved to Deerfield, Wisconsin. By the time I'm 12 years old, I'm out bicycling out in the countryside there, which is gorgeous, by the way. And I had imagined them, right? He told me the story, so it's all in my imagination. So one afternoon, towards dusk, I look down a long country lane, and I'm certain there they are.
Oh,
the
my
3 of them.
gosh.
I'm certain, as a young man, I'm certain. And they're pathetic, and they hold each other, and they're shaking. And right? I'm certain, right? And it was my go-to ghost story.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 years later, I go, wait a minute. That didn't happen. My mind's manufacturing half of this stuff, and that didn't happen. Why? Why didn't it happen? I never saw them for real. I never saw them in the Philippines. It was all my imagination. Why was every single detail of what I saw my imagination? And I went, bingo, not real.
Yeah. Well, a weirdo like me would say, well, what if you co-created and projected this? You helped manifest something.
Are we talking about thinking real hard? And
look, I'm just saying, hyperstitions, man. When fictions become reality.
There's a whole category of that. It's a whole way of living from that.
Yes.
Envision it, and it will be, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's quantum.
That's right.
Exactly.
It's quantum. And
whatever that means.
Jeff has already gotten there and said, "You idiot! It's quantum. You didn't imagine it. You quantumed it."
Yeah.
We're all connected, right? Everything's
That's
connected.
right.
It seems that way to me.
Well, I love that. I love that because I'd love to tell it the way I used to tell it. Because people would all go, and I like that.
It is. Well, it's horrifying. I mean, to see like three, like shaking three, like I mean, oh my lord!
And
I mean,
for your younger listen, I grew up in this world of survivors of Japanese torture and
yeah,
horrid. They were pigs, first class pigs.
yeah,
I can't even go into it, and I won't, because I knew the survivors and people who had, bits and pieces torn off or were forced to serve as full-time prostitutes, shipped their comfort girls,
yeah.
shipped from the Philippines to Burma to the front lines to be basically gang raped every night.
Jesus,
And
man.
then they come home, ignored, their story, nobody knows. It's horrid. And I won't even go into the rape of Shanghai, which is the saddest World War II story there is of inhumanity. So they were pigs.
Yeah,
And I don't cotton with people like, what about their honorable Bushido? Well, fuck that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not the truth. And that,
No,
by the way, that's all made up by American kids who are really into ninja stars and shit like that.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Which, by the way, is
Yeah.
bullshit too.
Frank. Now, Frank.
I trained under a 9th generation ninja master. No, you didn't.
Now,
It's not a
now
real
Frank,
thing.
since we're back in Deerfield here, can you tell us the story about the dapper werewolf?
Yes, I will. I got a
Man.
million of them. This one, however, I'm going to say to you, my dear host, take it as it is, okay? Because I'm not going to
Okay.
go any further in the story, okay?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. 1973. What am I? I'm a 9th grader. I'm a 8th, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my uncle drives up to our house up there, and he comes in. I'm the witness to this. By the way, I'm an eyewitness to all this. And he comes up, and my dad's brother, right? He's a grocer. Comes up to my dad and he goes, "You wouldn't believe what I just saw." He says, "I was out there by the cemetery at the edge of town, and I saw. I don't know what I saw, but I saw a dog in an older tuxedo, the kind with tails,
Right.
standing straight up like a man. It was a wolf or a dog with a top hat on, just standing there in the center of the cemetery. And it was late in the day, very late in the day, actually. The sun was almost down. And my dad went, yeah, right. Can I get you a drink? Have you had one already?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was it. That was all there was. That's it. Okay. 2 months later, my dad had salesmen. He's in agribusiness now in Wisconsin. And he had a salesman coming from Minnesota who'd never been in our town before. He drove, comes up the road, sits down, says, "Frank, I need a drink." My dad's name is Frank, like me. And he says, "Okay." He goes, "You wouldn't believe what I just saw." He goes, "I saw, it's like a wolf with a tuxedo on, and he has a top hat." And my dad turned absolutely white when he heard that. Because this guy doesn't know my uncle. This guy doesn't know anybody. He's never been there before.
Right.
He said that tale. And that's my story.
That's okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack here. First
Just
off,
some of this because my hometown is right on the border of what we call our werewolf corridor triangle.
is that,
right?
I was going to ask, is that close to Elkhorn?
It's not far. So
No, and not far, but
Yeah.
it's close to Jefferson, which is another werewolf hotspot.
Yep.
In Wisconsin,
kind of the ground zero
sighting.
of the
Yeah.
werewolf lore for Wisconsin.
Is it
And
really?
we're
So
the werewolf capital of the world. Yes.
was Jefferson the area where the man
Shackleman.
like in 19 is that like the 1930? Jeff, will you mind telling that story really quick?
Yeah,
Just,
I believe it
is
was
fascinating.
1936 or 1937, St. Coletta's, which was an all-girls school. And the watchman...
Kennedy.
Well, yes. So we'll get to that. So anyway, Mr. Shackleman is the groundskeeper or the night watchman there. And he's patrolling the grounds. And he walks over to one of the many Indian burial mounds that we have scattered about Wisconsin. So he's walking.
World capital.
That's right, Mount Capital of the world. So he's policing the grounds, nothing but a sturdy flashlight in his hand, and he comes upon one of the mounds, and he sees what looks like a large animal standing on top of the mound, scratching. Well, as he approaches, the animal takes off. Well, it's his time to work the following night. He goes back to that same mound, same time, same place. But this time, he sees the animal scratching atop of that same mound. But instead of tucking tail and turning, it kind of rears up at him, looks him straight in the eye. He says it looks like it's looking into his soul. Well, he's on a Catholic convent grounds, and he says a little prayer for the God to save him. The thing averts its gaze and eventually scampers off. But that's the last time he saw it. But a lot of people think that is the first sighting of the Beast of Bray Road. So it's kind of,
I remember that.
Frank says it's a corridor. So if you would connect, Elkhorn to Jefferson to Deerfield, it would all kind of line up there.
And didn't the werewolf like say a word to the man, like Banara or something? Like I can't remember what it was.
According to Linda Godfrey, it said Gadara, and she deduced that would be like the Gadarene demoniac from Gadara, the biblical town. Now, I think that it goes a little too far for my liking,
right?
Because it could have just been a growl, but to take that much out of it, to say this is demonic and then attached to Legion in the Bible from that famous story it's one step too far for me, and I like to get into the fanciful, but it makes for a great story.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean that I remember that from her book, which is a great book.
Absolutely.
Oh, but back to the Dapper Werewolf here.
Wait a minute. I know what it actually said.
What?
Free Luigi.
Free Luigi.
Oh, Frank.
It was it could see in the future, and exactly. But in terms of the Dapper Werewolf, like, were there any, is there any more sightings that you've ever come across?
No. And I searched hard, and I asked everybody from town.
And Deerfield's a very small community today.
That is like, that is like the real high strangeness, like super deep weird that I love. I mean, it's one thing to see a standing up wolf. It's another thing to see one dressed as like a conductor in in an opera with the
yeah.
That's a beautiful thing right there.
And there's no end. There's no, I found out that there's none of that. There's no nothing. It just ends.
So I don't know if Frank mentioned that happened in a graveyard, that both the sightings were, and also the Indian burial mound.
Standing on stones, surrounded in an offense.
Do you recall what your dad thought about that? Was he just kind of like,
it was ridiculous the first time? Second time, he never talked about it ever again.
Okay, so do you think that he believed that there was something there? You don't know? Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ooh, that's good. That's real good.
Interesting character himself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot I know, a lot I don't know, and I don't know what he thought about that.
Oh my Lord. Okay, can you? I ran across and I'll be honest. I read most of your write-ups, which I love. Bravo to you. You've done a fantastic job. But my listeners probably haven't. So could you please tell me about the Pestigo fire demon?
Okay. The Pestigo fire, Pestigo is the greatest natural disaster in American history.
Really?
Yes. It consumed more acres of fire. The Great Pestigo fire consumed more acres than any in American history, including all the recent ones. And it was so huge, but it was in such a remote part of Wisconsin. And at that time, we were the timber center of Western Hemisphere.
Right.
We were providing lumber for Omaha, for Chicago, for everywhere. And those forests were coming down fast.
Right.
They were clear cutting. And Peshtigo's in northern Wisconsin, so it's north of me. I'm near Green Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and it's beyond that, up a ways. And it's along the Green Bay, which, big bay, part of our state. At that time, immigrants were coming in really fast because it was touted as a land of plenty, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. You can find your fortune here. Well, several dry summers had preceded it. And on the particular day of the Peshtigo fire, 1872, I believe, the weather conditions were so perfect to ignite a perfect firestorm. And
Mm-hmm.
you might have read the book, The Perfect Storm.
I haven't. No.
This is the perfect firestorm.
Right.
And it was a firestorm. So it did not, start a fire line and then approach. It leapt and created fire tornadoes ahead of it.
Oh.
Hundreds of fire tornadoes. So many and so hot that in the aftermath, several of these fire tornadoes spun up sand in the soil as glass.
What?
So afterwards, somebody said it was a wonderland. You were, riding your horse and buggy through glass spires spun up by the fire tornadoes. But the fire was so hot and explosive that people did not burn, slowly. They exploded. And women who have a higher fat content in their body than men, they like shooting a phaser from Star Trek. They went like that.
Jesus.
So these fingers of super hot air and fire were dropping down, 1,000 degrees. Here it comes. Whoop, everything was wiped out. To this day, the forest is scarred and the land is barely recovered. It's scrubby up there. It used to be verdant forest and beautiful. You could drive a car between the trees. It's the way it's described later. The width and no underbrush. Gone, wiped out. The population of Peshtigo, 3,000 to 5,000 people died, and it leapt across Green Bay and landed in Door County, America's most water-surrounded county. And its fingers, I keep talking about these fingers because that's what happens, the tendrils of the fire, dropped down and killed numerous people there. You could not escape it because it boiled the water in the rivers.
Good God.
Those who did escape in the river there was a part of the river that was just hot. It wasn't boiling.
Right.
And you could go underwater for a while. But if you came up and took a breath, you might be breathing super hot, scalding air.
Oh.
And it was a disaster. It was horrible. The Chicago fire happened the exact same day.
Are you serious?
Yes. And
what? That's crazy. Well, also, that's not very far away from what we're talking about, right? In Chicago? 2 hours?
3.5 hours.
That's close enough. That's really weird.
In a modern car.
Yeah.
But it happened for the same reason. There's no myth to its story. Everything was dry, and that whole weather front that came through, just think of it as the biggest tornado spawn in history, except it's fire.
Oh God.
Yeah. And the stories of it, I would recommend reading Firestorm at Peshtigo. Great book.
Mm-hmm.
And the descriptions, I read the old newspapers from it, and I can't get through them. They're so horrific.
Oh, jeez.
I read them a little tiny bit at a time. They are beyond to have a baby in your arms and have it evaporate in front of you.
Oh my God.
It's stunning what happened.
It sounds like a nuke went off almost,
Well, it's called I believe it's called the Peshtigo effect of building a fire that keeps getting bigger and bigger and hotter and more tornadic. And when the British Air Force bombed Dresden in World War II, they used the Peshtigo quotient. It's not called the Peshtigo quotient, it's called the Peshtigo something, a correlation, something like that. And it was based on measurements made on how the fire progressed, and that wiped out Dresden.
Jeez.
Horrific firestorm. Same effect. It was Peshtigo recreated by man. And that's horrific.
That is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a
Good
book
Lord.
by a reverend who was eyewitness to it. It's called The Great Peshtigo Fire, an eyewitness account by Reverend Peter Pernin, and kind of his account, and also some testimony to other survivors of that. But it was, like Frank said, it didn't get a lot of publication because it was the exact same day as that Great Chicago Fire. And,
Right.
being so remote and underpopulated, there was really no way to get the news out about it either until, well after it happened.
All of Wisconsin's resources, our governor, our famous one-armed governor, Lucius Fairchild, who lost his arm at Gettysburg, channeled everything from Madison to Chicago. Everything, blankets, food, everything, just down there. Call comes, telegraph, disaster in Peshtigo. His wife he went to Chicago. His wife is left in Madison. She becomes the heroine of the Peshtigo fire. Because all of a sudden, hey, where's all our stuff? We have nothing in warehouses to send. She knocks door to door and gets donations and gets it going for everyone in Madison to pile onto a train that's taken up north for the relief of them. So many people were driven insane by it. And as Jeff can tell you, that area has a Marian sighting, right, Jeff?
Marian apparition.
Oh, it does. Does it really?
Wisconsin is 3.
Really?
We're number 1 at that, too, Marian sightings, but we're also Catholic as hell.
So it's the only one that in North America, or United States, because there's Guadalupe. So the only one in United States that's recognized by the Vatican as a genuine Marian apparition. So one small aside to that story about the Peshtigo fire is the people that had this Marian apparition, they built a chapel to it. They consecrated the ground around it as the Peshtigo fire was coming in, and the fire pretty much took a fork around the chapel and actually spared the chapel from the Peshtigo fire, and it still stands today in Robinsonville.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I'd like to add that it took a fork around a lot of things.
I love your skepticism, Frank.
Yeah.
Let the story be the story, man.
Well, you got me on here. So
we love you, Frank.
Do you know the particulars of the actual sighting of the Marian apparition?
Do you know that one? It's
no. I'm sorry, I don't.
I have it. I'm not as well versed as some of the other lore, but it was an immigrant family. Were they Belgian, Frank? Do you remember?
Yes.
Belgian, yeah. A small Belgian community. A young girl on her way to school ends up being encountered by an apparition that spoke to her, and it happened several times since then, and there were witnesses to it. So much that the Catholic Church was convinced that it was a genuine Marian apparition.
Wow.
And it too said free Luigi.
You're going to get us kicked off of YouTube here, Frank. We're talking about the Mario Brothers character.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We're a numerous Italian community.
But is there there's folklore attached to the Peshtigo fire because the fire demon?
The
fire demon, yes.
Right. So, what's the folklore behind it?
The folklore is that before the fire started, a demon riding a 4-legged, maybe a horse, was seen flying through the air and dipping and jumping and laughing and being demon-like.
Yeah. As they will do.
Oh, they're crazy. They do crazy things.
Never have them to a party. I tell you, they're rude.
They are ready for Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They always have been.
Yeah.
So I got one for you, Frank.
Oh, good.
So Steve, he's not sure exactly when, but he is planning a trip to Wisconsin. Now, if you were an outsider and you were transported to Wisconsin for 16 hours, and when that 16 hours ran out, you were magically teleported back to whence you came.
Quantum, right?
What
Quantum.
would you do in those 16 hours in
Oh
Wisconsin?
my God, that's too hard. Are you coming here for 16 hours?
No, he's much longer.
No,
but
I
I'm saying,
hope
if you're
much
going to
longer,
get the
but
Wisconsin experience on a short time scale, what would you?
Oh, please. Oh my God.
There's so much to take in.
Is this summertime? I have to ask that.
It can be whatever.
Are you
yeah,
Maybe summer, fall,
Well,
because
number one-
late summer,
one,
early
you're
fall is
supposed to-
probably the best season of
yeah.
Wisconsin.
I'd say it's September 7th.
Okay. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, this is so hard. But number one, you have to visit me in Appleton.
Mhm.
Of
and-
course.
Because we're the drunkest city in America.
What are you saying about me?
I think you look like you're in for a good time.
yeah. I don't mind a good time, I'll be honest.
But if you want both a good time and a mystical time,
mm-hmm.
there's, any of our Door County.
Mhm.
Door County is a shock to people who come here to Wisconsin. They have a certain image of Wisconsin, right? You know,
Right,
it's all
yeah.
woods and shit, and
Yeah.
cornfields. It's not us at all. Rolling hills, extraordinary rolling hills. Southwest Wisconsin, the driftless area.
Mhm.
We are the world capital of, people don't know this, pictographs, cave paintings, ancient shit like that,
Yeah.
earthworks, unbelievable earthworks, effigy mounds. Man, you trip over them.
Literally.
Yeah.
Can't go out my back door without tripping over one. And you've got to see the Wisconsin Man Mound.
I have.
In Baraboo.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and
Have Have you seen the Intaglio one?
No.
Okay.
Fort Atkinson. So just
Yeah,
south
Fort
of
Atkinson.
Madison. It's so the opposite of a mound is an intaglio, and they have a panther intaglio. So it's actually a dugout shape of a panther.
I don't think
Right
I
by
was
Fort
aware of
Atkinson,
this.
yeah.
Okay. Really?
Man, it's just sick with mounds here. Sick.
I once heard that southern Wisconsin alone had more mounds than the rest of the United States put together.
Well, the
Just
mounds only go so high.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the northern limit,
Uh-huh.
where I'm at the top of Lake Winnebago, which used to be a middle Mississippian settlement there.
Right.
It goes back to 1200 to 1400 AD. And I'm at the northern limit. Burial mounds creep a little north of that, but effigy mounds kind of stop.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
specifically talking about the effigy mounds that resemble, earthen creatures, Wisconsin is number one. There are just along all of the deltas and tributaries of the Mississippi, there are smaller conical mounds, linear mounds, but specifically the effigy mounds, Wisconsin's by far, in a way, number one, and most notably Madison and Fort
Really?
Lakes region. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
When Ed Gein got up in the morning at the
Mendota Mental Health
the-
Institute.
Mendota Mental Health Institute,
Yes.
and he was transferred from the Waupun Hospital for the Criminally Insane. Isn't that cool? I love that. We need more of those structures.
yeah.
The old
And then-
Waupun prison is quite a piece of architecture.
Yes. And
Whoa.
just think of the backstories future supervillains can make up here.
Yeah, and they will. And they will.
So I'm glad you said Door County, because Door County it's like the Nantucket of Wisconsin. It's absolutely beautiful, coastal,
Except more water.
even more water. Yes. So Door County is the thumb of Wisconsin. So if you're looking on a map and you got that little peninsula that juts out, and then there's even a little island that's not too far from there that's called Washington Island, with so much lore and just intrigue on it. Just
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Those islands. Oh, and the ghost ship. The ghost ship.
the Christmas tree
the
ship
ghost
or
ship?
the
No. 1670s. The ghost ship of La Salle's ghost ship Le Griffin, the first large-masted ship to sail the Great Lakes, vanished as it left Washington Island, never to be seen again.
They never found the ship.
No.
There are so many ships that have yet to be discovered, especially
Right,
Lake Michigan along the
We
coast.
are-
Yeah,
Oh, God.
Yeah. Isn't there a lot of airplanes in the bottom of Lake Michigan, too?
absolutely.
Yes, but there's shipwrecks galore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thick. As any pilot or captain, and my ancestors were pilots and captains along the Great Lakes, it's the most dangerous body of water there is.
Why? Why is it just
The
wind
bathtub
shears?
effect.
Uh-huh.
So you have a lake, but it's not a lake. It's an inland sea. Lake Superior,
Right. It's
inland sea.
gigantic. Yeah.
Convergence of incredible winds from the Arctic
Uh-huh. Yeah.
happening, convergence where they become their own super force.
Right.
And waves go this way, that way, and that way. How do you steer into the waves when they're
Yeah.
coming at you from every direction?
Oh
And
man.
eventually, the bathtub effect
Uh-huh.
adds to that. Basically, you spin around in your bathtub, that water's going to go like that.
Right.
It's a Great Lake thing, and Lake Michigan's more famous for that. Yeah.
Eat your heart out, Bermuda Triangle.
Well, there is a Lake Michigan triangle.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, we got the best triangle. UFOs diving into water.
Well,
Check.
yeah. Is there lore of UFOs being seen diving into water?
Absolutely.
Oh my. That is wonderful.
Wisconsin's the first place where UFOs were taken seriously. Sightings, and a group was formed to track them and mimeograph sightings from one group to another.
Coral Lorenzen, Jim and Coral Lorenzen of
yeah, they were Wisconsin folk, weren't they?
APRO was the name of their organization.
Yeah, sure.
And then when they left Wisconsin, they went to the desert, actually. And the people that took it over, they called it the Midwest UFO Network, which is now the Mutual UFO Network.
That's right. I forgot that it's actually, because it was the Midwest and started with, oh my God. Look.
And Steve, can I just...
Please, Frank.
What?
Please, go ahead.
We are the weird capital of the world.
I mean, like, look, I you know what, I agree. I really do. Like, I mean that because, like, I'm very into, like, the hot spots and, around the world, and especially, I guess, the United States because they're easier to travel to. But what I have discovered the last couple of years is that I don't think there's another place that has the breadth and the sheer diversity of weirdness that Wisconsin does.
I haven't either, and I've been all over the world.
Yeah, I really think it might be one of the weirdest places.
Very weird place.
Yeah,
that has explosive folklore.
I think the only other place in the running, I would say, is New England, but they have 6 states to pull from. We just have one landmass.
That's
right.
cheating.
Yeah.
Right, but I also think, like, I don't know if it has the sheer diversity that Wisconsin does, though. Like New England is up there. I would give you that too.
Word, but
yeah. I'll let you guys go toe to toe in the ring. A weird off. That would actually be really fun.
It would be a blast.
I have a quote here from Robert Gard.
Is this my favorite quote here, Frank?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's an alternate.
Okay, I'm excited.
Please.
In Wisconsin, the dead are more alive than the dead of any other place.
Wow, I love that.
That's great.
And what book is that,
Frank? I love
that. This is a compendium, Wisconsin folklore. It's really old.
I love
fun.
it. Okay, you'll have to send me
amazing.
The title.
It's not a Robert. He's not the author.
Oh, he's not. Okay, but
the collection is just quoting
okay.
him.
Do you guys have enough time for like a couple more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you tell me about the Milwaukee Harlequin?
Oh, that means I'm in
Frank.
again.
Yeah.
Can you give me 1 second?
Of course.
Really quick.
Yeah.
And I will return.
Yeah, take your time. Jeff and I will vamp.
Milwaukee Harlequin.
Yeah, Jeff.
I'm hanging in suspense over this Milwaukee Harlequin, so I can't wait for Frank to come back to regale us with this tale here.
This is going to be good. So now back to your omelet. There was cheese in there. Was there anything else?
A divergent to the
I'm always
food.
hungry.
Yeah,
I'm always hungry. Yeah. But what was it? Were you just straight up cheese
just
omelet?
Straight up. Yeah. Well, a little bacon because you have to have bacon, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Now, was there a toast involved, or just kind of like light and lively?
I went pretty carnivore on this one, so just the eggs, bacon, the cheese.
Oh God, that sounds.
You have to have the cheese,
good.
man. I've tried, and I guess just my lineage here, cheese does not affect me. Like everybody's like, I can't eat too much cheese. It's like, I'm dairy farmers on both sides, as far as I can trace them. So, yeah,
You have the right. You were gifted with a wonderful gut.
I have the Constitution for the cheese, and in Wisconsin, that sounds like it should be like a law. The cheese Constitution.
Well, my buddy Eric Jeske, who he's from Delavan, and boy, he can't put away the cheese too. The cheese is going to be a part of every one of his
Absolutely.
meals.
Yeah.
And God bless him for that. I mean, like take cheese everywhere you go is my policy.
Well, I know a lot of people that have pocket curds. You know what pocket curds are?
Pocket? You mean they're taking? Oh, I know what a cheese curd is.
Everybody in Wisconsin, they have access to a gas station nearby with plentiful cheese curds. Yep. So you can go into just about any gas station and grab a bag of curds, put it in your hoodie pocket or keep it in your car, and you get a little snack for the road. High protein.
I love this.
So
I love this. And I will tell you, folks, if you've never been to Wisconsin and gone, literally, and I've tried fried cheese curds. I mean, the regular straight up cheese curd is beautiful. And I don't eat a lot of fried foods because my stomach doesn't take it super well. But when I go to Wisconsin, every like little tiny sports bar, diner, fish fry place, the cheese curds, I'm serious. Like you could cross the border into Illinois and you could not find cheese curds that good. They're so good everywhere I've ever been.
Absolutely. Yeah.
God dang it. Again, one of those few things that live up to the hype. You're like, gotta try cheese curds.
And just,
you're like, okay, yeah.
Even the what I'm talking about is just the squeaky fresh curds is what we call them in
Wisconsin.
Oh
yeah, and I love those too.
Those are the perfect little snack.
My buddy Gareth Reynolds, he a couple times, because he's from Milwaukee, he'll bring back a nice bag of cheese curds for me, and I'm always incredibly grateful. And boy, do I pound those.
I didn't know he was from Milwaukee. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's a Milwaukee guy. Yeah. Great stand-up comedian, great human being. Everyone listen to the Dalt podcast. Frank, how was your break?
Where did you go to college?
University of Kansas in Lawrence.
Are you a fan of the band Paw?
Sure.
I played on their biggest single.
No way.
Jesse. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah, no, I saw Paw like when I was in college a bunch of times. They were always playing there. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Lawrence is a great music town. Lawrence reminds me of like a smaller Madison.
Yes.
It's a very liberal, beautiful punk rock town. Yeah, it's a great little town.
Fantastic musicians coming out of there.
That's 100% right. Yeah, we got great music there. Oh God, I have a feeling I'll end up in Lawrence one day living there. Maybe run for mayor. We'll see what happens.
Love it.
Okay. Now I've got to hear about this Milwaukee Harlequin because just that title alone intrigues me.
Yes, this story is not exclusive to me at all. Someone else. It's their recounting of something that's haunted them.
Right.
And I got it from who are those Australian dudes that do supernatural?
Oh, Mysterious Universe.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
And they've used illustrations of mine on their show. But my favorite, and the person who retold the story always starts with this line, the person whose story it is, and it smelled like rain.
Okay.
And I have not recounted it in so long that I'm not going to attempt the totality.
Right, sure.
But there is a thing called Harlequin sightings, and you guys know that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just checking.
Well, can you explain what a Harlequin is, just to the listeners, like the best of your ability?
Oh, that's easy. A Harlequin is a clown.
Yeah.
White makeup, a face, smile painted on.
Ew.
But this one was wickedly painted on and kind of smeared. It was like half-assed makeup.
Oh God.
It was like, I'm trying to look like a human, but I don't know if I got it.
Uh-huh.
So it would be the DC Comics version of a Harlequin, not Harley Quinn, but a Harlequin.
Right.
Okay. Yes. And it appeared to this person and this person's family. And it started with a noise upstairs in a 2-story building in Milwaukee. And it turned out the Harlequin had been entering through the closet of a young girl at night.
God.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
nightmare.
terrifying. But with that weird
Oh, I'd
scream.
lose it.
And she was too young to know, is it dangerous or is it imaginary or whatever.
Mhm.
But they would talk at night, and they could hear them through the door. And later, not much later, when the subject came up inside the family and it was broached to their father, he knew what it was and he had seen it, and he just wouldn't talk about it. The family encounters this harlequin over and over and over, and later it's always trying to get in their house. Knock, 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 knock. And a weird, high, squeaky voice, strange voice, but always trying to get in. After, years later, after this daughter, maybe when one is so young, they can see things in other dimensions, but quantum. And Jeff's smiling because he says Frank's coming over. He's not going to debunk it because he knows it's all quantum. But they see it on a vacation. They go up northern Wisconsin.
What?
And northern Wisconsin is, may I swear?
Please.
It's fucking weird up there.
Yeah.
It is weird. If you ever have committed a crime and want to escape the world and still live and not be bothered, northern Wisconsin is your ticket.
That's good to know.
So weird up there. I feel it and I'm not talking about the holiday vacation land places at all.
Right.
I'm talking about those weird ass small towns. And what, you're driving up there. I hate Oregon because you drive and there's these trees like that. They block the sun. I hate the sun blocked. And that's northern Wisconsin. And it gets late and you look down the road and you do the stupid thing of wondering, oh, I wonder what's down that road. And we know from horror movies. No, keep going.
Yeah.
No.
Don't stop.
But this family went on vacation, and the boy who tells the story in question, he's one night they're coming back from I assume a supper club, and we have a lot of those. Nobody else does. It's a whole nother subject that Jeff can talk about later. And they're just driving along the road and not approaching them, but walking in their direction alongside of the road. The boy immediately recognizes that it's the harlequin. He knows it, and it's walking towards where they are staying. So it's following them. This horrible thing whose appearance is always, and I can't emphasize this enough. If you've ever seen a wonderful episode of an old television show called Thriller, hosted by Boris Karloff, there's a beautiful, brilliant, scary episode called The Hungry Glass.
Oh, yeah.
It is written by Robert Bloch, who's from Wisconsin and who wrote Psycho.
Oh, yeah.
He lived 30 miles from Ed Gein when it happened.
Right.
He was there. And he wrote the story, The Hungry Glass. It looks like the opening. There's a shot in the opening title segment of that. That's what the harlequin would look like. Anyway,
wait, really quick. What do you know? What year-ish this was all happening?
This is 70s, 80s.
70s, 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's why
someone who's like 6 years old in 1975. Yeah.
See, that's why I rely on Frank, because I've been writing about this stuff for well over 5 years, researching it much longer, and then I just learned about this today. So that's amazing, Frank.
Oh, by the way, Steve, I have 1 million of them, and I haven't let them out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely going to have. I think we're going to have this trio back on to. We got to figure out what's going on in Wisconsin. It's up to us.
And only we can save it.
I think so. It's a big burden on our shoulders here. I want to.
Wouldn't it be funny if Wisconsin is threatened and their only way out is to drink more?
Yeah, exactly. We got to drink our way out of this, folks.
Everybody right now.
Yeah, give me 2 12-packs. I'll start there. Well, I don't want to. Gosh, first off, thank you so much for giving me so much time.
I can stay as long as you want.
Can we do one more? And that would be the Mineral Point Vampire.
Okay. I was just thinking about that this morning because I'm making a set of trading cards of weird Wisconsin. I'm calling them. I got to get this straight. They're for boys.
Yeah.
Like disgusting things.
Yeah.
How old are you then? 10, 11, 12, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creepy cryptoids of Wisconsin.
Oh, that's great. I will pre-order a set right now. Put me down, please.
Oh, by the way, do you give away anything to your listeners?
Like, what do you mean? Like like prizes?
Giveaways. Do you do giveaways or do you avoid them?
I need to start doing giveaways. I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm not. I'm on it. I'm on it.
Give me your address. I'll ship you a whole bunch of weird and posters.
Oh wow, Frank, you're so nice. Awesome. Yeah, we will give it away to a lucky listener. I'll have a raffle or something.
I don't even have advertising on any of my stuff. I hate that.
Yeah, well,
I'm not in it. I'm in it to spread the fun story
for the love. I hear you.
The weirdest state in the union.
Love it.
It is. I would agree.
And so wonderful. I'd like to say one more shout out to our wonderful friend Chad Lewis, who I always think about him. I
love Chad
because I don't think anyone reached more kids to be excited and interesting and just have their imaginations piqued, which I think is the most wonderful thing in the world. I don't think anyone did that more than Chad. And he's out there fighting the fight. He's appearing at libraries every week, right?
Yeah. Multiple times a week, yeah.
All the time.
He's like a touring stand-up, but for paranormal stuff. I mean, like he is in also the first time I met him like a few years ago at the Van Meter festival, I had the most amazing conversation. He was so passionate and so interested in what was going on in Nebraska. And he's like, oh man, I got to come through there. But like, he's such a great guy and his books are so fun. Like, yeah. Shout out to Chad Lewis.
So
we love him.
I think that's probably like an 8-episode streak of podcasts that I've done that I've mentioned or Chad Lewis has brought up. So we'll just keep the streak alive.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't speak anymore. I should.
You should.
I should. Jeff's my good angel on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And and there's a very nasty bad one.
Yeah, we all got that one.
His name's Steve Berg.
Just relax out on the porch.
You can't do it. You're worthless.
But the Mineral Point Vampire. Okay, here goes. I've never had more email or comments than this story. I told it long ago. I'm from another time. Jeff's Nowsville. I'm Yesterdaysville. And the first sighting of the Mineral Point Vampire reminds me of the Spring-Heeled Jack story.
Oh,
yes, very much so. So at the Mineral Point Cemetery, one late spring night, snow on the ground, there is a sighting of a ridiculously clad, obviously wearing his vampire costume, guy with dark hair, white face, cape, who is sighted. He makes a run for it. There's a fence around the Mineral Point Cemetery, where, by the way, Alan Ludden is buried, Mr. Betty White. And he'll play into the third part of the story. He makes a run for the fence, and he leaps over it. It's a tall fence. It's not one of these little guys. And that's the reported sighting. And police arrive. I do believe, Jeff, can you correct me on this because I don't have my. Was it a cop?
Yeah, it was an officer by the name of John Pepper, and this happened. I think it was late March it was late March of 1981.
This is when things are starting.
Yeah,
81. You said
so
okay,
a little over 40 years ago.
And supposedly, you could track the tracks. They go up to the fence and then stop. Yeah. There's no continuation, right? Story number 2. This happens in the 90s, I believe. Is that correct, Jeff? 90s. A woman's coming home late at night to her apartment building, and up in a tree on the grounds is this guy with the black outfit again, white face, dark hair, and just sitting there in a tree. You know, weirdo, right? The guy's peeping Tom or something.
Yeah.
But when spotted, he leaps off the tree and makes a run for it. His tracks, his path, is traced up to a wall.
Oh, what?
And once again, Jeff, you're my very good.
So that
was he sighted running towards that wall?
From the account that I've read, yeah. So it was 2004 for that one. So not that long ago.
No.
So the very latest.
2008.
A couple.
Yep.
2008. Yep. A couple are fishing at Ludden Lake, named after Alan Ludden's family, the television star of the era. And they hear noises coming from beneath the pier. And you know, pier is built with slats, sea down, right? It's once again, it's late. It's very late. And peering back at the man who's fishing, is a man and a woman there, young, is a white face with black hair and darkly clad, looking right up at him through the straps.
Oh my God. That's horrifying.
They run for their car. They leave all their fishing gear behind, all of it. They jump in the car. When they look back, this thing has come out of the water and is running right at them.
Oh my.
Running right at them. So they peel out of there. They get out. They make it out and make their police report, I believe, either that evening or the next morning. And that is the third sighting, and probably the weirdest, really, the most frightening.
Yeah.
And but once again, the figure is exactly as described in all three.
Is this a well-known piece of folklore, or is it kind of like a deep cut? Or no, it is. It's well-known.
It's well-known in Wisconsin, and some trace it back to what is called the Ridgeway Phantom. So there was a military ridge road that ran from Fort Howard in Green Bay, which is the main port off of Lake Michigan for Wisconsin, there in Green Bay. And then the military, the Army specifically, they cut trail and a road through the heart of Wisconsin to Prairie du Chien, which would be a Mississippi River port. And that specific area of that military ridge road, they have a community called a Ridgeway. And really the entire thing from Ridgeway to Mineral Point is said to be an active place for this spring-heeled Jack type character to stalk.
There's a famous story, the Ridgeway Ghost. It's the oldest European ghost story in Wisconsin.
Really?
But this Ridgeway Ghost keeps reappearing.
And some think that the Mineral Point vampire is the modern incarnation.
Some do.
You don't think it's related? No.
No. And I'm not taking any commercial stop motion jobs, simply to make a short of the Ridgeway Ghost story.
I love that.
Awesome.
The way I've learned it, the way I have. And I first heard it from an old timer who told me the story, because I'm that old.
Very cool. That's so awesome. I hope you do. You got to do this.
Of course I am.
All right.
Yeah, good. All right.
All right. Pick me up on the way to Ridgeway.
I've actually comic booked the whole thing already.
Awesome.
It's my
storyboard.
Awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But it's one of the most frightening ghost stories ever told. And it's cruel. It is, I can't even describe it, because a lot of people I tell it to freak out.
Well, we got to hear it then. I mean, Frank,
is this about the two young brothers?
That's right. I love it. Okay. Good.
Okay. Yeah, just like you have my blessing.
It's not the later one where he kills the world wrestling champion's father.
Yes.
What? You know that one, right?
Yeah.
Wait, so where's Ridgeway? Just kind of like just is it like
southwest of Madison?
Southwest.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Which in the driftless area, the famous driftless area of Wisconsin,
Yep.
which is a separate landscape all to itself. Very great place to drive around.
Mm-hmm.
Deep hollows and strange communities with names like New Diggings and things like that. Okay, so in the 1820s, the lead rush happened, where lead actually was more expensive than gold.
Whoa.
Lead mining, you want lead? Southwest Wisconsin, that's where you want to be. So lead mines popped up everywhere. Who's going to mine these lead mines? Miners from England.
The Cornish and Welsh.
And the Welsh.
Okay.
So they're there. It's a gold rush, really. And all these little communities pop up and all these little sod hut bars appear everywhere. Two brothers attend a dance, a social at a church. They're walking home. This is fall, precarious time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The winds of November.
Yes.
Never mind. It begins to snow. Heavy, hard. They lose their way. They're making their way through snow. They see a dim light in the distance through this driving snow. And that light is a sod hut bar. It's this tiny window and there's some light coming through. Refuge, because they're freezing to death. It's bad. The brothers go in the bar. And if you've ever been to a small town bar, of course, you're not welcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of weird looks.
In certain places, yeah. Did you piss on the door? I didn't smell it.
Yeah.
It's bad. So they come in, and they just want to get by the fire and warm up. Well, one of them has a nice hat, a beaver fur pelt hat, top hat style that was common in the 1830s and 20s.
Sure.
It's a fancy thing at that time.
Good look.
Yeah. And one of the drunk Cornish miners with his buddies drinking there. Butch Vig just appeared on my.
Oh, he did? Hey,
yeah.
Butch Vig. That's pretty cool.
His what do you call a message? They don't want him there. They're not welcome. They're not made welcome. No chair is offered. They would just want to go by the fire and warm up. One of them is a particularly surly character known for beating up people all the time and just a mean shit. And he immediately decides he wants one of the brothers' hat. He wants that hat.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So he saunters up to them and he says, I want that hat. And he goes, no, you can't have that hat. He grabs it. The smaller of the two brothers, the younger, tries to fight back for it, the hat. And he shouldn't have done that. All hell breaks loose. The guy knocks one of the brothers down with one punch. Ooh. And then he grabs the little brother who came up to him and throws him in the fire.
Oh, my God. Wow.
The little brother tries to get out of the fire. He knocks him back in every time. 3 times. Finally, the 4th time, he's on fire.
Oh,
and
no.
He bolts out of there, out of the bar, and into the night on fires. His older brother follows as best he can because he's been beaten up badly. Their bodies are found the next morning, huddled together in the snow. They froze to death. One brother obviously burned to death, but the other one, they're frozen figures. And years pass. The mining ends. But that surly bastard who beat them up still goes to that bar, and the bar is fading. It's done. New buildings are popping up. People are building clapboard housing. Mm-hmm. It's becoming settled. And one night is the last night of the bar in winter. He has his last drinks there and walks home. Snowstorm, heavy, real heavy. As he's walking home, he thinks he has a feeling, someone's behind me. Someone's behind me. And he keeps turning around, nothing. walks steps further. Then he stops. He looks ahead of him. Something bright and on fire is right behind him and casting his shadow directly ahead of him. Whatever it is, grasps him like that, fire. And he's able to finally turn around and he sees it's the boys. The older of the boys takes his hat back. And the next morning, the bartender of that old sod bar, moving west with the rest of America, comes across their bodies. And his body, and he's burned to death, seated, frozen, burned to death in the ground.
Holy smoke! Have you been able to verify this at all?
Don't do that.
Just kidding.
That's
That is
a
amazing.
story as I heard it from an old timer when I was a kid. I was 12 when I heard the story of the Ridgway Ghost. And it was told to me by an old guy that no one had time for in my hometown.
Right.
There's always that guy he's interested in cool stuff, but how does he make money?
Yeah.
Kind of likes the bottle a lot.
Yeah, well, hey, that's, to each their own. That's a life right there.
Now,
telling cool stories. That's a good service.
I've heard this story told so many times with variants,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always liked the first one I heard.
That's a good version. Solid. I would stick with that one.
Yeah, well, I have.
Yeah. Oh my God. Guys, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I would love to have you all back on because I bet, Frank, it sounds like you have a lot more stories. And Jeff, I know you have 1,000 of them.
Yes, he does.
But this is, I will say again, I'm a broken record on this. Wisconsin is this like just endless fountain of weirdness that you could do 100 episodes and probably not even scratch the surface. It's like it's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's so weird that it keeps creating weirdness.
Yeah, it's self-generating. Yeah,
that Slender Man thing.
Oh my God!
Yeah, right.
Now
yeah.
I remember reading. I said this can only happen in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Bingo.
It did.
I have a quick question for you. Since we talked about it, it seems like a theme that runs through a lot of the weirdness. David Lynch was once a resident of Madison, Wisconsin. Did you have any dealings or encounters with David Lynch while he lived here around the same time that you did?
Me?
Yeah, you, Frank.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. I'm older. No.
No. Okay.
Nor Errol Morris, who lived here at the same time.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, in Madison. Who was in Madison at the same time I was. Errol Morris is a filmmaker who's making.
Sure.
Who knew Ed Gein and has hours and hours and hours of interviews with him. And he busted the myth that Ed Gein had a Wisconsin accent. He did not. He enunciated as clearly as I do. I hope you didn't discern a Wisconsin accent in my voice.
Neither. I can't detect much from either of you.
Jeff does not have one.
No. Jeff sounds more like Nebraska, where we are the most devoid of any accent state in the entire country. Nebraska. Hello, how are you doing?
Yes, and
it is very flat.
They call that the Kansas accent.
Okay. Yeah. But if you even go to Kansas, I think Kansas City, they got a little draw.
Nope.
They're just that much south. There is a Nebraskan can tell the difference between a Kansas and Nebraska. Nebraska
I love that.
So flat. Yeah. I mean, Iowa, I would say probably doesn't have an accent either, but yeah. I wish we did. I love the Wisconsin accent. I think it's beautiful.
One last question here for you, Frank. Taliesin or House on the Rock?
House on the Rock.
All right. That's what I told Steve. I said
this was established in American Gods that the tree of eternity springs from the House on the Rock.
From the carousel.
Yes.
Yes.
Done. It's going to be
like Taliesin. It's
very stuffy
and sedate and oh God, how do you say it? Academic?
Yeah.
Whereas House on the Rock, you've been there, right? Have you, Steve?
I have not.
I recommended it.
I'm gonna go when I come to Wisconsin this summer.
That is ground zero for you.
Yeah. I'll start there. Definitely.
It's beautiful there. It's so beautiful. But the House on the Rock is beyond batshit crazy. Beyond.
Oh, yes.
It is unforgettable. Taliesin is, wow, yeah, he's the greatest architect who ever lived. Right? Yeah, so this guy built a tribute to insanity forever. You know?
A tribute to insanity. That's gonna be the title of this episode.
Tunes.
A tribute
I
to
love
insanity.
Bravo.
The Wisconsin story. You couldn't have ended it better than you nailed it, by the way. Cut, print, moving on. Fellas, this has been so much fun. Is there anything you want to plug your website, or is there anything either you want to plug before we say adios? I'll put the show the links for Wisconsinology in Jeff and all your work too, Badgerlands.
Get if you can order my wonderful Wisconsin Monsters, Myths, and Legends poster.
Yep.
Guess what? If you order one, I'll send you two.
Ooh, look at that guy.
I do it anyway.
That's so sweet of you. But this has been so much fun. Frank, it's so good to meet you. I can't wait to talk to you again. Jeff, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for joining us. You two are a couple legends. And I really want you to enjoy your dinner tonight. I hope you'll prep something nice for yourselves. You know what? Y'all deserve it. Dinner's important.
It is. It's my favorite meal.
I agree. It gets me. It's the carrot that drives me all day into dinner.
Love it.
Then it's just then I just give up for the rest of the day. But folks, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Hi Strangers. I want you all to enjoy your dinners. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.